Good evening, YouTube. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in, friends and family. Good evening, Monday evening in New York City at around 10 o'clock. Sorry to keep you guys waiting. Had a little bit of technical difficulties. I had a phone call, and I was trying to get off the phone with who I was speaking to, but the person just kept talking, so I had to cut them off. I said, I got a bunch of people waiting for me on YouTube. So I had to go. I had to bounce out of there. So good to see you. Hi, Pooh Bear. How are you? Thanks for joining. Good to see you. Thank you for coming in, everybody. Great to see you guys. A very long day today. Very long. Kind of stressful day, obviously, for the family. But I was sitting in on day one of the retrial of the Karina Vetrano case. Unbelievable day in court. A lot of stuff to talk about. A lot. I gotta let you guys know that I uploaded the entire prosecution's opening statement. So yeah, Mike, I uploaded the prosecution statement for you guys, for the benefit of you guys. So hi, Nikki. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. Good to have you in. Thank you, guys. Thank you one and all for coming on in and hanging out here tonight. Let me just see a couple things here real quick. Hello, Black Rose. Good to see you. Thank you for putting up those links. Thank you for putting up the links, Black Rose. I appreciate that. Hello, Jojo. You watched it. Yeah. Difficult at best to watch, guys. Not an easy thing for everybody to see. Hello, Meg. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. Yes, a really, I got up at 6 a.m. New York time. I got up 6 a.m. New York time to get in there, and get an early jump. And I wanted to make sure that everything was perfect. I just wanted to see what you guys, how the audio is. I'm thinking about plugging in the mic, so I'm gonna unplug and then plug in. Let me know if this mic sounds better. I'm operating off of the pick mic. Hopefully that sounds better for you guys. You sound clear to me, says Kelly. Hey, how are you, Kel? Good to see you. You watched the opening. How many here have watched the opening statement that I posted up on my YouTube? I posted it on my YouTube and I put it up on the website. I'll go over it, PK Collins. I'll go over it. So I'll definitely go over it. Hi, Sheila. Excellent. Hello, Black Rose. Thank you for putting up all those posts. 45 minutes so far. Excellent. The opening statement. Yes. Okay, Kelly. Great. Good to see you, Kelly. Thank you for joining. Let me just do a quick post on this real quick, guys. Stand by for 2 seconds. Just bear with me. I just want to post it onto my Twitter feed, and also, yeah, it's difficult. Just think about her mom. Her mom was sitting right behind me in the courtroom, and she had to witness the whole scenario. She had to relive the whole crime all over again. Good evening, Hio. Good to see you. PK Collins, thank you so much for the super chat. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, guys. Yeah, she's got to relive it for time number 3, which is not fun. Is not fun whatsoever, guys. I mean, it was not just the mom that was there. It looked like there was aunts, uncles. I did not see Phil Vetrano. Her father was not there. And I think I overheard a sidebar because I was sitting in the front row. And I didn't see her dad there. I'll get into that, why there was a hung jury. I'll get into it why there was a hung jury. Just give me a couple of minutes to get settled in here. I just want to wait for a couple more key people to come on in and settle in. So I just want to wait for a couple more key people to come on in so I don't have to keep repeating it over and over again. So those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Ron, Duty Ron. I run a YouTube channel here where we go over cases. We do a lot of variety of different stuff. It's not just all about crime stuff, but I was a 20-year NYPD detective and police officer. So I'm a 20-year plus vet of the New York City Police Department. And this case involves a murder of a 30-year-old young successful jogger over in Howard Beach in Queens County, New York. August 2nd of 2016, this young lady went out for a run and she never returned home. She was brutally slain, beaten, strangled, sexually abused, and dragged into high weeds and left for dead. Her cell phone thrown away, her sneaker somehow removed from her, her clothing pulled down, and her pants taken off of one leg, and sexually abused by a vicious animal, a vicious savage who is in custody. And it is a very it's a very complex case, but at the same time, it's kind of straightforward with the evidence. The evidence is pretty straightforward. When you listen to opening statements, I have it posted up on my YouTube and on my into my website. If you go onto my website or go and look at the YouTube video that I posted up. Hello, Karen. Good to see you, Kay Grant. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. Thank you, Karen. Hi, Sheila. You're welcome. You're welcome, guys. It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure, guys. So no problem, Black Rose. Enjoy your dinner. Enjoy your dinner. So yeah. So hi, Jennifer. Thank you for joining. Good to see you. Justice for Karina. Yes, yes, justice for Karina. So just to give you a little bit of a background, I'm just going to move this just a tad bit closer. Sorry about the shakiness there. I just want to have this just a little bit closer. There we go. All right. Yeah. That's good. So just to give you a little background, so in August of 2016, August 2nd was when the crime was committed. February of 2017 is when the detectives made the arrest. So a 6-month period, there was no leads, there was no suspects. The case was pretty cold. So this, again, if you don't know the case, Google Karina Vetrano, and the spelling is Karina, not Katrina, but Karina Vetrano. And if you look at my bio and you look at all of my videos, you'll see tons of them on there. Just Google the case. She was 30 years old, a speech pathologist. She had just started a new career and went out for a jog on a late afternoon on August 2nd in 2016. She usually jogged with her father in a park called Spring Creek. It's a federal preserve, a lot of high growing weeds with some jogging trails and walking trails in it. The night that she went out, her dad couldn't go with her because he had hurt his back. And he asked her, he said, why don't you just not go? It's not a good idea. You know, wait till tomorrow or whatever. And he advised her not to go. And just like so many adult children say to their parents, don't worry about it. Everything will be all right, Dad. I'll see you later. So she went out to go jogging and she never returned. So the father, who was very in tune with his daughter, started calling her, didn't get any answer. And I'm just going to go through the story. I'm going to go through a short version of this case. So the father called his daughter after she didn't come home at a reasonable time, around, I don't know, 6 o'clock, 6:30. He started panicking. Howard Beach is a very close-knit Italian-American community. So there's a lot of really nice homes there. There's a very quiet neighborhood. Everybody knows each other. And there's a lot of civil servants. Her dad, Phil, was a retired FDNY. That's the New York City Fire Department. He was an FDNY firefighter, retired. He was also a 9/11 first responder. He responded to the World Trade Center, and he had lots of friends in the fire department and lots of friends in the police department. As a matter of fact, one of his lifelong friends that he went to high school with and grew up with was a 30-year veteran of the New York City Police Department, a 3-star chief. So his lifelong friend is a 3-star chief, which is a bigwig in the police department, and he instinctively called him and said, "You got to help me. I can't find my daughter. You know, you got to help me try to find her." And he said, "Calm down, tell me where you are." And the 3-star chief called the 106 precinct, which is the precinct that covers that area, and he sent a patrol car over to search or to help him out with his daughter, you know, to try to find his daughter. So Phil, the father, and the police officers who responded, yeah, I just mentioned that, Meg, her father is a retired FDNY firefighter, a 9/11 first responder. I was just saying that before. So he goes around with the responding police officers to start searching for his daughter with no results. Now he is really panicking. He's getting really, getting real worried, and more people are responding. They get a helicopter up, aviation, because it's very dark, and he's lighting up the park. They even had K9 respond, emergency services with lights to try to light up an area, but it was a huge, I think it's 2 miles wide and 5 miles long. So hello, thank you for joining. Good to see you. Good to see you, T. Thank you for joining. So to make a long story short, they search. Nothing comes up. They call in the resources of the technical audio response. It's called TARU. I'm not sure of the exact acronym for TARU, but it's our electronic surveillance unit. They do like all the wiring up of video. They do a lot of counter surveillance. They are the tech of the police department. So the TARU unit gets a phone call, and not at Fort Totten, where I always tell you guys TARU is. I usually do broadcasts of the Bayside Harbor by Fort Totten, but the TARU has a second office in the 107 precinct outside the 107. It's a federal preserve, but it is a park. It is a park. So TARU gets the call to assist in trying to find her via her iPhone. She had an iPhone, cell phone, iPhone, and it was on because they were calling it, and it just rang and rang and rang and went to voicemail. So they, the TARU unit, which I tell you guys all the time about this, electronic forensics is really, really deep. So what they did was every cell phone company, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, Sprint, all of the companies, all the cell carriers, they have a law enforcement portal. And the law enforcement investigative portal is exactly for cases like this, where you have a missing person, where you have a homicide case, and you go through the channels. It's a short form that you fill out. You let them know that you're doing an investigation. They verify the investigation, and then they access the GPS, providing the phone's on. If the phone is shut off or the battery died, then you can't do what TARU did. But that night, the phone was fully charged when she left, and it had good service and a good battery. So TARU put the ping on the phone. They pinged it, and they were able to triangulate exactly where, not 100% where it was, but in the area. And right from, it's okay, Joey, right from their office, they were able to ascertain that the phone was in Spring Creek in that preserve. So Taru, it was a detective, a sergeant, and his partner. So I think it was two detectives and a sergeant responded from the 107, which is some distance away, to the Spring Creek preserve, the nature preserve, and they, with the mobile equipment, they had mobile tracking equipment that they had activated through Sprint, through the service provider. Karina's service provider was Sprint. So through Sprint, opening up her GPS tracking, they didn't use Find My iPhone Now. They used direct from the cellular, the GPS tracking. They triangulated, they found her cell phone. They found her cell phone in a big, tall thing of weeds. They had to push the weeds aside to get to it, but the detective found it. 10 minutes later, Karina Vetrano's father, who was escorted by two police officers, came to where the phone was. They told him, hey, we found the phone. Now the father knows she's got to be somewhere around here. So the father, being a fireman, went with emergency services. Hi, Linda. Hi, Joey. The father, Mr. Vetrano, Phil, went with police officers, and they had the big flashlights, and they were looking in that general area. Found a certain spot, like that was about 80 feet from where the phone was found, 40 to 80 feet. I think it was 80 total feet. So he saw, with his trained professional, firemen know a lot about this stuff. He saw some parts of the weeds were separated a little bit, just disturbed, and some of the dirt was disturbed off the path. And he said, wait. And he went in there with the police officers, and he found his daughter. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, for any father, I don't care if it's a daughter, a son, any mother, father, it doesn't matter if it was the father or the mother, you are going to flip out when you see your daughter or your son dead. He let a wail and a scream, a wail and a scream that the detective who testified while I was there, I heard the detective testify. He said he heard the wail from where the cell phone was, like it was right next door to him. It was so loud and so gut-wrenching. So the detective at the cell phone, where the cell phone was, had another detective stay with the phone, so the chain of evidence was clear. He ran quickly to where the body was, where the recovery was, and he saw Karina Vetrano's father, Phil, holding his daughter, but she was face down. She was face down, and he was holding her with her back to him. So he just cradled her and picked her up, but not completely up. He was on his knees. He went down on his knees and held her towards him and was hugging her and said, I have to take her home. I have to take her home. And the detective said, hey, you can't. You have to put her down. They made him put her back down. Her sports bra was pulled down, exposing her breasts, and her jogging shorts were pulled down one leg, and her panties were pulled down completely off one leg, and only one part was up. I believe it was the left side. She was on her right side facing down. The left side was exposed. The left side, and her right side was, the pant leg was still up. But I saw the photos. I saw the crime scene photos in court today, and I looked. Her mother was sitting right behind me, and I got to tell you, I looked at her, and she had her head down. She couldn't even look, and I don't blame her. She couldn't even look. So the mom was visibly shaken and distraught, and rightfully so. And the father immediately knew, because he's a firefighter, he knows that you have to preserve the scene. So he put his daughter down and was not dragged away, but basically pulled away by the detectives. You got to realize that this poor man now just saw his daughter, you know, in a very bad state. You know, it's not something that you would want anyone ever to see. So they took the father away from the scene, and they took him back away from the whole preserve and brought him back home, and he went back to tell his wife that his daughter has been murdered. So not only did he just see his daughter laying there dead, he had to go back to his house and tell his wife that the daughter was gone. So two of the most horrific things that you'd ever have to do, and he did it that night. And you know, crime scene was notified. All of the evidence at the scene was chain of command. Everything was done professionally. Nobody touched that cell phone. Nobody but the father touched the body. That's one hiccup in this case that the defense is one of the things that the defense is really homing in on, is that the father disturbed the crime scene. But that didn't disturb the evidence that was gathered from the crime scene. So yes, justice for Karina. So at the end of the day, now there's a huge crime scene that has to be processed. They have a cell phone that's 40 to 80 feet away. They have her headphones that are missing. They have a lot of work to do there, and they secure. Thank God it is in a remote area, and there was not a lot of people that they had to keep out. So they were there for 2 days or more processing that crime scene. The medical examiner came to the scene and did a examination of the body on the scene, and then brought her back to the medical examiner's office and performed an autopsy. During that autopsy, it was an internal and an external autopsy. So the autopsy also looked into whether she was sexually abused. So the medical examiner did an examination on her and showed that she was sexually abused in the vaginal area and in the anus. She had lacerations in both of those areas, which is despicable. It was very hard to hear that in court. It was very hard knowing that the mom was there right behind me. I was in the front row, right there next to the jury. I was watching the jury very intently. I saw the perpetrator, obviously the defendant, the perp, the crazy savage beast, was in court. He had a suit and tie on with a bow tie. And so all of this put together, you know, was a lot for even a professional to take in. But at the end of the day, I've been in this position before where you're in the courtroom with a complete, total, you know, savage, brutal person, an evil person, but you hope and pray for justice to be served. You know, so at the end of the day, we hope justice is served. So getting back on track, there was an autopsy that was performed on Karina, which showed she was sexually assaulted. It also, her hands were bagged up on the scene. The hands were bagged up, so when she was transported, no evidence would be tainted. So the medical examiner clipped her fingernails. The medical examiner clipped her fingernails about a month. It'll be probably about 30 days, around, give or take. It could be less or more, but they're predicting just about a month. So the medical examiner clipped her fingernails, swabbed her neck, where the injuries were as follows. I already talked to you about the sexual injuries. She was choked to death, so there was bruising all over her neck, severe bruising. He punched her numerous times. They said could not determine how many times. She was pummeled in her face. He cracked her front teeth. They didn't go over if she had any broken bones or broken nose or anything like that, but I saw the crime scene photos and it looked like she was in a 15-round fight, and just got really, really beaten bad. So the crime scene photos were difficult to look at. I looked at them because I wanted to see what this savage beast did to her. And he really pummeled her. He had to have hit her more than 20 times, more than 20 times. Hi, Katrina. Thanks for coming in. So her face was battered, bruised very badly. She had very severe lacerations and bruising around her neck. He beat her, he strangled her to death, and then he tried to drown her in a very shallow pool of water. There was a puddle because it rained the day before, and August 2nd, 2016. And that very same puddle that he put her face down in hopes that if she wasn't dead, that she would drown, his hand from breaking her tooth was all cut and was lacerated. And he took his hand and put it in that water, and he got a really bad infection. So the very next day, he had to go to the I think they said Sony Downstate. He went to Downstate Medical Center in Brooklyn and got treatment for his hand. And the attending doctor who treated him for the injury on his hand, classified it as a fighter's injury, like what a boxer would have if he boxed without gloves. It was a classic fighting injury. He told the doctors and the hospital staff and his parents that he fell down while walking around in the park. So he lied about how he got the injury. He lied about how he got the injury to his parents, but his father, because he was so injured, took him to the hospital on August 3rd. The very next day, when they were conducting an autopsy on this poor girl and the crime scene was active, he went for medical attention. That's how injured he was from beating her. So, guys, the detectives, the crime scene investigators, the forensic specialists swabbed her neck. They received DNA from all around her neck. The clippings from her fingernails, they received DNA from the fingernails. They received DNA from her cell phone, which he took and threw the 80 or 40 feet away. He admits in his confession to the detectives, he admits he takes her phone and throws it. So I agree, Jojo, I agree. Unfortunately, we have due process, and that's what we're doing right now. This is the law of our land, and this is the justice system. It's not perfect, but it has to go. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, guys. If you haven't hit the like button, please do so. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. And if you haven't checked out my website, go check out dutyron.com. So the forensics and all the crime scene personnel are collecting on the 3rd. They're processing the crime scene. So now they have DNA from her body, on her neck, on her phone, underneath her fingernails. They take that DNA, and there's a national DNA data bank. And what that is, the data bank for DNA is rapists, robbery, people who commit robbery, violent crimes, murder, serious assaults, every category of very serious crimes. When you commit a felony and a serious assault and serious crime, you're now mandated to give DNA to put in this DNA database bank. So they take that DNA and they match it up in CODIS, right? I didn't want to actually give the name out, but there you go. You gave it out. So in CODIS goes the DNA, and they put it in, hoping to get a match, but they got nothing. Big donut. They never got 0 out of it. So the detectives now have to get the wheels in motion. There is a task force that's created. The task force is created. We don't know, Linda. He never admitted to any of that, and he refused to say that he sexually assaulted her, but she had lacerations on vaginally and in the anus. So in both places there was lacerations, as stated in court today by the prosecutor. Medical examiner testimony will go into detail. I may or may not be there for the medical examiner's testimony. But be that as it may, they have 2 counts of sexual abuse against him. He's being charged with 2 counts of sexual abuse. So, hold on a second, guys. So, now, the crime scene is processed. They do the DNA. They have to go through the process of now looking, because they got a 0 match. They got 0 hits on the DNA. So now they have to do detective work. Now what that means is now they have to look at prior arrests for rape, for assault. They're looking at every report, every kind of possible situation. I think they said they did over 600 additional DNA swabs of more perpetrators and more suspects. Suspects that hadn't given DNA, they went and took 600 plus extra swabs to try to get a match. Swabs from people who they didn't have DNA from, that they went and questioned, and they voluntarily gave 600 new swabs of DNA with 0 matches. So 6 months down the road, this case is now cold. They have nothing. They've interviewed hundreds of people. They took the 600 plus DNA. The case was a cold case. And the family and everybody wants some closure here. Everybody wants closure. The community is nervous. The women in the community, you know, think about this kind of heinous crime happening in your community, and there's no arrests for 6 months. So one of the lieutenants, I believe his name is Russo, Lieutenant Russo, who worked in the Chief of Detectives office. I'm very familiar with the Chief of Ds. I used to hate to go to the Chief of Detectives, because when you get called to the Chief of Detectives, you're always getting scrutinized about your cases and your caseload. So me as a warrant squad detective, if I only got called to the Chief of Ds twice. So the Chief of Detectives office consists of, they micromanage what goes on with all the detective bureaus, right? So the Chief of Ds, they look at all the different squads and they try to tighten it up. And they say, okay, what's going on with this case? What's going on with this case? So the lieutenant who worked in the Chief of Ds, Jojo, thank you for the super chat. Thank you so much. Guys, I got a parking ticket today. Thank you for that super chat. My parking ticket, that'll help me pay this parking ticket that I received from the New York City Department of Finance Parking Violations Bureau. So I got a parking ticket today. Can't make this shit up. So I got a parking ticket down at the courthouse. 95 bucks. I thought it was 125, but it's only 95. So I'm not that upset about it. Yeah, I parked in a spot where I thought I could park, but I was wrong. What am I going to do? What am I going to do, Tanny? So it's okay, Kelly. What am I going to do? Can't cry over spilt milk. So, so the Chief of Detectives, Lieutenant Russo, who happens to be someone who lives in the area, he lives in Howard Beach where this crime happened. He says to himself, wait a minute. I know we've gone through a lot of stuff. He's auditing the case, and he says to himself, wait a minute. On Memorial Day, on May 30th of that year, of 2016, he was with his family. It was a hot day. He had a t-shirt on and a pair of shorts and flip-flops. And he goes and looks out his front window, and he sees a suspicious male with a hoodie on, a heavy jacket with a hoodie, walking around the neighborhood, and as a cop, that stands out. If that happened here at my house, I would be suspicious about it too. So there was a bunch of burglaries and break-ins, car break-ins and things of that nature. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sosa. Thank you for that super chat. I appreciate that. Thank you. So there we go. Excellent. That was so kind of you. Thank you. So the lieutenant says, I called 911 in May on the 30th, Memorial Day weekend, and I got in my car. He got in his car and followed a suspicious male. The police stopped him. The police stopped the male. They questioned him. They took his name and realized he was doing nothing wrong, and they let him go. But the very next day, on the 31st, another resident, not a lieutenant, not a police officer, another concerned resident of that area, of that neighborhood, saw the same guy. But the person who called 911 didn't know there was a report the day before, but the lieutenant saw the report in the system and said, wait, there's two of these reports? So he looked at the second report and said, holy shit, it was this guy again. He gets on the phone and he calls. This is good old-fashioned detective work. The lieutenant, it was May 30th. It was Memorial Day weekend. Carolyn, thank you so much for that. Oh, thank you guys. I appreciate that. Before the end of this, I'm going to have probably more than enough to pay for this parking ticket. Thank you guys. That was very kind. Very kind. So he sees in the system there's a second report, and he pulls the report out. Apparently, there was Bella Mia. Thank you so much. Susie P. Thank you. Thank you. So here we go. The second report now raises a flag for him, and he says, why don't we go, because we got his name and his address, because the police, when they stopped him, stop and question and frisk, they filled out a stop form and question form, and they got his name and they got his address 2 times. So he asked, has anybody questioned this guy? And the detective said, no, we didn't even know about him. So he ordered 2 detectives to go to this guy, Chanel Lewis's house. That's the perpetrator. Go to Chanel Lewis and question him. So the task force that's set up is out of the 107, not the 106. They put it in the 107 because the 107 is a bigger precinct, and it's the borough. It's the borough where all the big bosses are, and all of Queens, that whole borough. Every borough has a main building. Thank you so much, Charlie's girl says. Thank you so much for the super chat. Much love and respect to you. Thank you so much for that. God bless you guys for the super chat. So they send the detectives from the task force. 2 detectives go, a male and a female. And they go and they respond to this perpetrator's house or potential whatever. They were going to just go and interview him. And they question him. They said, hey, do you know about this? They say, you know anything about the murder in the park? And he tells them, yes, I know about it. And they say to him, would you mind giving us a DNA swab? Would you mind giving us DNA? And he didn't even question it. He didn't even say, well, why? They just said, well, we do this just to clear everyone that's possible, that's possibly a suspect. We would just like to swab you, take a DNA sample, if it's okay with you. If not, it's fine. And he said, yeah, right at his house. They were right at his house. His mother was there and everything. They swabbed the inside of his mouth. Now, these are special detectives they sent there that are qualified and trained how to do this. They swab them. They put in the envelope, in a sealed container. They seal it. They mark it. They voucher it. And it gets processed off to the microbiologist, to the forensic lab. Police don't process that. All we do is voucher it, collect the evidence, voucher it, and send it. It goes to the lab. They leave. He's not under arrest. 2 days later, the results of that DNA comes back 100% match to what was taken off of her fingernails, what was taken off the cell phone, and what was taken off her neck and the whole area. 100% match. Now we got an arrest. Now we got the perpetrator through DNA match, and we have an arrest. Those same two detectives go back and arrest him at his home. The same two detectives go back and arrest him at his home. And bring him to, where do they put him? Where do they put him? They bring him to the 107 precinct and process him. So he's processed the 107 precinct. He's brought to the 107. He's put in an interview room, which is standard operating procedure. We don't just do this just because it's like a torture room or a special secret room. Every single precinct in the city of New York, every single precinct has an interview room. And every interview room, for safety reasons and security, does not have any windows. It's a small room. It's a 10 by 10. It's got sound deadening panels in it. So when you do an interview, the interrogation and interview was done at the 107. That's where the command post was set up. That's where the task force for this Vetrano case was. It's the borough. Every borough, like Brooklyn North has a borough, Brooklyn South has a borough, Queens North and Queens South, they both have boroughs. This was the borough. And it's standard to do this. It's a standard. Happens all the time. It doesn't have to be, he doesn't have to be arrested and processed in the precinct of occurrence. That's how it usually goes. But when there's special cases like this and they create a task force, like when they have a robbery task force, or if they have the Central Park rapist, the Central Park jogger case, they didn't have the detectives didn't do the debriefings in Central Park precinct. They took them to the borough. So that's how it always goes. And I know this because I've been a police officer for over 20 years. So they take them to the 107, they put them in the interview room, and 25, 35 minutes go by, and they go in there, they read them his Miranda rights. You have the right to remain silent, you have the right to an attorney, one can't, if you can't afford to have one will be, the whole spiel. They read him his rights, and they say, do you want to talk to us? He says no. So immediately, I know this as a professional, immediately if someone tells you that, you cannot say another word to them. You can't even say, okay, you just walk out. You just walk away from them. And that's what they did. They waited about 2 hours. Hello, PK Collins. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. I'm going to get to that, Allie. I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to it. Give me a chance. Give me a chance and I'll get to it. So they go back in a second time, read him his rights. He says he doesn't want to talk. So now it's getting late. Now he's there 4 or 5 hours. They said, okay, we can't leave him in this interview room. We're going to put him in the cell inside the detective squad. And I'm very familiar with it. It's a cell that's open air. It's not a blocked in cell. It's open all the way around. There's no solid walls to it. It's just an open air kind of cage. It's got 4 sides to it and it's open all around. So they're going to send him to central booking to get him arraigned in the morning. They're not going to get any interview out of him. He's not going to give him anything. At that point, the detectives gave up. They were going to do their reports. And the defendant says an open floor concept. It's an open floor concept. So the detectives go about their business, but they could see him and he could see the detectives. So at about 5:30 that morning, he asks them to turn on the TV and he wants to watch cartoons. And the detective obliged and let him watch cartoons. He wanted to watch cartoons. They put the Cartoon Network on, and he watched cartoons. And that was nice of them to do that, because I'm not sure if I would have done that. But, you know, maybe I would have. I don't know. I don't know. But so he wanted to watch TV, and they put the TV on, not inside the cell, but so he could see it. And he watched cartoons, 20 years old, PK, 20. So they turn the cartoons on, and he's watching the TV, and an hour goes by, and he says, I want to talk. I want to talk. The detectives say, you want to talk? They shut the TV off. They bring him back into the interview room, and they read him his rights, and he gives them a full confession, a full statement of what happened. After he did that, they called the district attorney squad. I said it, he was 20 years old. He was 20 years old. So he's 22 now. He's been in custody for 2 years. So he gives the confession to the detectives, and the confession that he gave to the district attorney is on my YouTube. If you go to my uploads and look at my previous, you could watch the full interview. It's the same as what he gave the detectives. Excellent, Colin. So you'll never have any trouble, but he can't represent you in any cases because it's a conflict of interest. Anyways, but he probably knows a guy. So I'd hate to live in that household, boy. You're getting cross-examined up and down. That's a lot of mess to deal with. You get cross-examined at the dinner table. So anyways, he gives his statement. He gives a confession on videotape to the district attorney, and he gives a confession on tape to the detectives. 2 confessions, 2 of the same stories, 2 of the same thing. He mentions in the interview with the district attorney, they show him a map of the preserve. They said, you entered here, and they made a mistake, and he corrected them and said, no, with the pencil. He penned out, with the pencil, he penciled out the part that they marked and said, no, that's a mistake. I entered right here. So he corrected them because they had the location just a little bit off, and he pointed it out to the right place. After he gave the confession, he said to the detectives, I want to call the victim's family and apologize. Naturally, the detectives did not let him do that. But he said, after he gave the confessions, that he wanted to apologize to the family. He's been in this park, Allie. I'm not going into the, listen, there's a lot of things, there's parts of this that I'm leaving out because I would be here for 2-3 hours explaining all this to you. He told the detectives, that's why I'm telling you, go watch the confession. Watch the interview with the district attorney. He says that he goes all the time to that park to blow off steam and walk. It's 1 mile or less from his house. The night he went there, he told in his confession that he had a fight with his mother. He had a verbal argument with his mother, and he had an argument with his neighbor because they were playing loud music, and he was pissed off. He was mad, and he went to the park to blow off some steam and to let it go, let it all out, to walk in that park. And he just so happened to come across Karina Vetrano just by chance, and he took out his anger on her, and he killed her. This was a crime of chance that just happened. No documented mental illness. He's fit for trial. He's a grown man, a young man at that. He's a grown 20-year-old at the time, 22. When you're 20 years old, you don't get mommy and daddy to help you. You get arrested for a crime, and you are up Schitt's Creek without a paddle. You don't have mommy and daddy to hold your hand. Like, he wanted to make a call to his mother. They didn't let him make the call for a while, for hours and hours, because they had their job to do, the detectives. There's nowhere that it says in the manual that you have to give a phone call right away. You could give a phone call at any given time during the arrest process. So the defense attorney was trying to say they never let him call his mother. He's never been arrested before. He was scared, and he just gave him the confession after 12 hours because he just gave them what they wanted, thinking he was going to be able to go home. This is what the defense said, that he just gave in after 12 hours because they wore him down, and he just said, let me give them the story that they want to hear. Let me just tell them what they want to hear. When meanwhile, the detectives never really pushed him. They asked him, do you want to talk, twice? He said no. And then he voluntarily said he wanted to talk after watching his cartoons. So, I wouldn't want to be a defense attorney. I'll tell you that right now. Good evening, Cup of Joe. Good to see you. I wouldn't want to be a defense attorney because I couldn't defend somebody like that. There's no way that I could defend somebody like that. I just couldn't do it. Crazy, right? Crazy so far. So, this case gets even more interesting with the evidence. It gets even more interesting because now that we have an arrest, 6 months later in February, we have an arrest. We have the defendant's cell phone, right? Hello, Anna. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. Good to see you. So now, after we have an arrest 6 months later, we have the defendant in custody. We now take charge of his cell phone. He did not have a home computer. He did not have a laptop. He did not have an iPad. All he had was a cell phone. And the carrier was T-Mobile. He had a T-Mobile cell phone. The detectives, when they arrested him, take his cell phone, they voucher it, and they send it to the computer crime squad. My boys, I worked in computer crime squad for 6 months. I worked in that squad. I know what they're capable of. I talk to you guys all the time about computer crimes. I talk to you guys all the time. For those of you who know me, and Joey, you guys can attest to it. If you guys know me, you've heard me speak about computer crimes. Our NYPD computer crime squads, thank you, Anna, thank you. The NYPD computer crime squads, these guys are forensic specialists at taking electronic information from computers, cell phones, laptops, you name it. They get this stuff. Thank you, Anon. Thank you. So they take his cell phone and they look at it. And they look at the cell phone after August 2nd, after the murder was committed. They go all the way back to August 2nd. And he downloaded photographs of Karina Vetrano and saved them onto his phone. All those pictures that you see when you Google Karina Vetrano, of her in pretty dresses and sexy outfits, and she was a Instagram social media maven, she was on Facebook, she was on Twitter, all of those beautiful, pretty photographs that we've all seen. Excellent, excellent. Josh, all of those pictures were downloaded on his phone after August 2nd murder, not before. August 3rd, August 7th, August 10th. He was downloading photographs of the person he killed on his phone. Okay, open minds, no problem. So the detectives now look at the cell phone data, and then they go forward to the February arrest. And remember I told you there was a 2 or 3 day period before he got arrested when they swabbed him? Searches after he got swabbed. What is DNA? What's the sentence for murder? What's the sentence for rape? What's a prosecutor's job? What's the proof of burden on a jury? He Googled all of this shit because he knew he was up Schitt's Creek without a paddle. He's from East New York. East New York. He now resides in Rikers Island. If anybody's looking for him, he's in Rikers Island at the GMDC House of Detention. Rikers Island, GMDC. Gail, I'm getting to it. You guys gotta wait. You gotta wait. Gail, if you can't be patient, then come back and watch the replay. I'm getting to it. It's gonna be towards the end. So, searches on his phone for what constitutes rape. What's a prosecutor's job? All kinds of stuff like that. Now this shows guilt, big time. If you guys aren't seeing this, then I don't know. I don't know. So everything's coming to play. Everything is coming into play, right? It's okay, Gail. It's no problem. It's no problem. I'm getting to it. Just hang around. Be patient. You'll get it. I know this is a lot to take in, but I'm in the middle. I'm 3/4 of the way done with this story. So just hang out. Just hang out. Thank you to everybody who's given Super Chat, by the way. Thank you so much for that. I did get a parking ticket today. Just to make everyone laugh a little bit more, I did get a parking ticket, $95, going to the courthouse. It's on me. It's my own stupid fault. Such a moron. What are you going to do? I was excited. What am I going to do? I was excited. I wanted to get in there. There you go, Jojo. There you go. You tell them. Fast forward. These guys want to fast forward. You're not going to get a fast forward out of me. I tell you, I give you the details, and I don't give you fluff. I'm not giving you bullcrap. I'm giving you everything that I heard today in a nutshell. I'm giving you 2 hours of the prosecutor's opening statement in about 40 minutes, 35, 40 minutes. There you go, PK. Thank you. So, watch the replay then. Watch the replay. So now, they have all this. They have all this evidence. He gets arraigned. We start the trial. We have a trial. The defense is Legal Aid Society because he can't afford an attorney, so one was appointed for him by the court. So the attorney goes in. They present their defense. And the defense attacked, number one, first and foremost, the defense attacked the evidence of the body of the victim because the father went and grabbed his daughter and she was face down, partially naked. He grabbed her by her shoulders and put his arm around her and was holding her and was trying to drag her and pick her up out of there, but he was stopped immediately. The detectives made him put his daughter back down gently, back in the place where she was. He didn't drag her away like he wanted to. There was a detective and a cop with him in uniform, and he wasn't alone there. But the defense set the picture of him being alone and dragging her away, and the cops putting her body back in place. So there's the first reasonable doubt that they put together. They use that. Don't forget, the jury has to not have any emotion. a jury is charged and informed by the judge that you cannot have any emotional attachment to this. You cannot say, oh, that's what I would have done too. They just have to look at the evidence and look at whether it's legit or not. And if they can create reasonable doubt, and reasonable doubt is just for you to say, could this have happened? Yeah, maybe it could have. Do we believe it? Juries can either say yes or no. I hear you, RN. I hear you. I hear you, my brother. So, doubt number one. Doubt number two was created by the defense with the cell phone and the DNA that was recovered from her fingernails. They were saying that if they recovered DNA from the cell phone and from her neck, why wasn't the same DNA recovered under the fingernails? It was the same DNA, but it was minus fluid. It was skin. It was just skin that she scratched him with. So there was no blood in the skin. There was no blood underneath her fingernails. So the defense was saying, if my client was bloodied, how come there was no hair or blood or any of our client's stuff taken from underneath her fingernails? And the prosecution said it was skin DNA and blood comes back to the same person, but it's processed in a different way. So that created confusion for the jurors. The jurors and the jury in the first trial were all very young. They were all between 25 and 35, I believe. A majority were young. This jury that I saw today were all in their 60s and above. One person, I think, was in the late 60s. So this is a more mature jury that they pulled for this. So I don't think that the first jury fully got it, and they were swayed by the defense creating reasonable doubt. The third reasonable doubt that they created in the case was the confession. They claimed that the confession was coerced and that was mental torture because of the time that they kept him there, and that they felt that his confession was pretty much psychologically taken, that he gave in because of fear and fatigue and not knowing. And he just wanted to give them what they wanted to make it go away. Chanel Lewis, that's the perpetrator's name. I know you said earlier the place we can go to hear this confession, but I was driving and couldn't write it down. Can you please say it again? Where can we hear it? Duty Ron on my channel. Look through my uploaded videos, and it's in my channel. It's in my channel. It's in my channel, guys. So, thank you to each and every one of you who's given Super Chat. Greatly, greatly appreciate that. Thank you guys so very much for that. So three reasonable doubts were created by the defense in the first trial. The prosecution today, in opening statements, they called 3 witnesses up. Hello, Curious George. They called 3 witnesses up. The detective from Taru. Let me make sure everything's still good here because I just got an error message. They called up the detective from Taru. They called up the first officer on the scene that was securing the cell phone. And they called up the third officer who secured the body, who secured the crime scene once the body was found, and waited until the medical examiner came. Good night, Jennifer. Thank you for coming in. Thank you so much. So, Raquel, good night. Good night. Good night to everyone who is going to bed. I understand that everybody's on different time frames here. Everybody's on different time zone. So, guys, if you haven't shared this broadcast, share it onto your social media. Share it to Facebook. Share it to Twitter. Share it to Instagram if you can. And you can also share it onto WhatsApp and also Snapchat if you have it. So if you can, thank you, Cookie Hill. Share it out to all of your social media if you don't mind. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you to all of my Patreon supporters as well. Cookie Hill happens to be one of them. So thank you for the love and support on the Patreon. If you go to my website, there's links to the opening statement for Karina Vetrano. I uploaded on dutyron.com thanks to Josh. I uploaded the entire 1 hour, I think it's 1 hour and 50 minutes of a statement, opening statements. I uploaded the full confession onto my YouTube, and the opening statements is available on my YouTube as well. But if you want to go to my website, you can see it all on dutyron.com. Josh, where are you going? You're out of here? Josh, thank you for all you do. Josher H is my web guy. He does all of my website stuff, and he designed all of the banners that you see on my homepage. So if you're not subscribed to Josher H, go check him out. Go check out Josh. He is awesome. He's a great guy. I highly recommend him. So it is for me, I feel like I want justice for Karina Vetrano and the family. I'll see you later. Take care. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you so much, Linda Halcrow from New Zealand. Thank you so much for the super chat. I really, really appreciate it. It's okay, Kelly. Don't worry about it. We knew what you meant. We knew what you meant. Your heart was in the right place. So, guys, I am using straight out YouTube. I'm not using the Streamlabs because I couldn't go live with Streamlabs. So we want to get justice for Karina Vetrano. I was in the courtroom today. I spoke to Kathy Vetrano. That's her mother. I actually had a conversation with her. It was very short, but she was right behind me, and I wanted to just show her some respect. And I said, Mrs. Vetrano, Kathy, I wanted to let you know that the New York City Police Department wants justice for your daughter. We love and respect you, and we're looking for justice here. And I'm here to support you. I told her I was retired. She asked me for one of my business cards. I gave her my old business card, and she hugged me and said thank you. So that was my contact with the victim's mom. And then I escorted her out of the courtroom. She actually was sitting right behind me, so it wasn't really like a full escort, but she walked right behind me. And then when we came out, there was all reporters there, and she asked me to kind of block her, so I blocked her. When we came out, the reporters were there, and there's clips of me. I'll show you a quick one. I'll show you a quick clip, and you guys will get a laugh out of this. I'm sure you guys will get a laugh out of this. So here's a quick clip of Duty Ron. Here we go. This is going to be funny. You're going to see me here. And there's Mrs. Vetrano right here. So that was on Twitter as we exited for the lunch break. As we exited for the lunch break, that's what we saw. That's what you saw there. She was obviously not well. She was not in a great. There's just heard horrific details of her daughter's murder for the second time. This is round 2 to have to go through crime scene photos. They put up a huge easel with all the pictures of the cell phone, the pictures of her body, pictures of her crime scene photos of her being killed, her dead, how she was discovered. It was horrific, guys. It was horrific. It was a tough pill to swallow. A nightmare for any parent. Absolutely, Joey. Guys, if you're not subscribed to Joey, BKLYN_67, he's a great friend of mine. He has awesome content. I highly recommend you go check him out. M. Lowe is also doing some broadcasts. Go check out Meg. She's a great friend of mine, also a great supporter of mine, and I'm honored to call her a friend. So M. Lowe over in California is an awesome gal. She was celebrating St. Patrick's Day like there's no tomorrow. She had a great time yesterday, and she probably had a better day than I did. My day didn't consist of much other than going and having some drinks with my friends next door and listening to them, straight Irishmen just having a great old time. So, unknown. Michelle, I don't know. I don't think so. I think she was an only child, but I'm not sure. I don't have that dynamic because for me, that was not something that I wanted to look into. I'm just looking at the facts of the case and the details against the evidence against the defendant. So I didn't look at the family dynamic. I will check into that now that you asked. I will check into that. I'll let you know. So. Kat, the father surprisingly was not there, but I heard a sidebar. Don't forget, I was in the first row. So there was a wooden wall, like a wooden divider. There's a very short divider. And then there's the jury box. And I was right there. And I could see all of the jurors. I was able to see, thank you for reminding me about this. I was able to see, and I paid attention to the way the jurors reacted to the opening statement. And one of the males, the actual foreman, the jury foreman, is a retired corrections officer. The retired corrections officer was making grimacing faces and was very animated about what he was hearing. You don't see that with jurors much, and he was kind of like making faces and shaking his head. And then when the defense, after the break came up, he wasn't having it. It didn't seem like he was following the defense because the defense was trying to really poo-poo the whole thing. The female attorney, she was Asian descent, the same one. It's the same team that defended him in the first trial, same prosecution team. She was trying to say that it was a generated story because the police were being pressured by the top brass that knew the Vetrano family and that the three-star chief was putting pressure on them. Yes, Meg, we are lucky also to know you. You're awesome. I can't wait to meet you one of these years eventually when you come back over here to New York or vice versa. If I come to California, I expect a welcome committee there when I come down there. So yeah, it's an honor and a privilege to be friends with you. And I enjoy our communication that we have tremendously. So when the defense team was trying to poo-poo everything that was going on, this guy, I was watching him because they were right in front of me. He was just like, he was looking away. And I hate to do this. But okay. So there was two women that were black. This is the media reported all this. I'm not telling you guys anything that I'm not supposed to tell you. There was 2 black females. There was 2 Asian females, and there was 3 white females. One of the black jurors, female, she was a little older. I caught her in the afternoon when we came back from the break at 2:15. When the defense attorney was giving her opening statement, I caught her with her eyes closed twice. I got so pissed off about that because I'm like, wait a minute, they're judging this case and she's fucking sleeping? She had her eyes closed. Now, I don't know if she was just eyes closed and listening, but it looked like she was it looked like she was fighting to keep her eyes open. And I was like, what? Yeah, a retired New York City corrections officer is the jury foreman. I wanted to go and say something, but it was during the court was going on. You can't, I can't stand up and go, excuse me, you know, and I noticed the faces of there was the three white girls who were up on the top row and in the back. It was a blonde, like a dirty, two blondes and a brunette. The brunette was older. She looked like she was about 60, 65. The blonde girl looked young, maybe about 40, 35-ish, 40. And then the other gal looked to be probably around that same age, 35, 40, maybe a little older. They were listening very intently. The males were all very invested in it. And the younger black female was very attentive to listening. So I'd say 99%, with that one exception of that woman that I saw close her eyes. That kind of pissed me off because I was just like, this is such a heavy case. I mean, how are you dozing off during the defense attorney giving you her side? Okay, let me give you some of the statistics on the DNA. And I don't know if these are exact numbers, but it doesn't matter. I think, don't hold me to this, I think you could hear it when you listen to the prosecution's opening statement. The prosecutor said the DNA evidence that was taken from the cell phone that the perpetrator said in his confession that he took and threw, and on her neck, the swabs of all of her neck where he choked her to death. The district attorney said that the forensic biologists, the lab people in the crime scene lab, they said there was a 90 trillion to 1 in favor of it being the defendant. 90 trillion or 9 trillion to 1 that it was definitely this guy, his DNA, on the cell phone and on her neck. The DNA, trillion, not billion, not million, trillion. The DNA, because it was skin underneath her fingernails, was 800 billion to 1. Definitely his. Yeah. There's not even that many people ever going to be in this world. The defendant kept staring and looking, and he did this according to Mrs. Vetrano. Her brother was there, the brother was there, and he leaned over from the pew behind me because I was sitting directly behind me. He leaned before the trial started, before everything started going, he leaned into my ear and said, "Detective," because I was wearing this shirt in court. He said to me, "Detective, the defendant, this scumbag, always stares at my sister. Is there anything that can be done about it?" And I said, "We can ask the court officers to block him from looking." So I approached the bench before everything started, and I talked to the court officer, and I said, "Hey," I told him, and he said, "Oh, we got that already because of the first trial." They knew about it from the first trial. He said, "We're going to take a court officer and put him in a chair and block him from looking this way." So Mrs. Vetrano didn't see it, but I saw it because the chair was like behind him, and he kept looking. You see in the photos, he's looking. Gavin, good night. Thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate that. Thank you, my brother. I greatly appreciate that super chat. We're up to $32 on the super chat. I'm almost ready to pay the parking ticket. I almost got enough. I got half of it to pay the parking ticket because in the previous broadcast, I got like $10 super chat. So
We're up to 42 already. So over half of it already taken care of. So thank you, guys. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Much love. So he stares at not only the mother of the victim, but he tries to look all the way back to see his mom, and they make him turn back around. But he kept doing this. Like, say she was over here. He was looking straight ahead, and then he would go. And two or three times, he looked right at me. And what do you think I did? I stared him right back. I didn't even break. I made him look away from me. I stared at him. He saw my shirt. He saw me sitting in the front row. You know, front row is for police and attorneys only. I stared back at him. I didn't even look away. When he stared at me, I stared straight in his eyes. Thank you, PK Collins. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. $37. Awesome, guys. Thank you. So I stared at that piece of garbage, and I didn't look away. I stared right through him. Like, and I waited until he unlocked with me, and he unlocked. Yeah, a lot of people wishes they could get their hands on him. He turned away. When he saw me looking at him, he didn't look that long, trust me. But he did it quite a few times. He did it quite a few times. And he might have did it more because I was trying to pay attention to the jury. I was listening to what the DA was saying. I wanted to take it all in, and I got a lot of extra information. There you go, Curious George. Laser beamed him. I laser beamed him. I used the tractor beam. I got him with the tractor beam. Kelly's making everybody laugh. Kelly's adorable. Good to see you, Kelly. It was a little eye contact, yes. Esther, thank you so much, Esther, for the super chat. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. Thank you. Bless you, bless you, bless you. Thank you, guys. Allie, I got to tell you, man, this to me is, this hits home because cases like this just blow my mind that, you know, a jury couldn't come to a conviction on a guy. It was in Queens County, Gavin, Queens County Supreme Court, Queens County, New York. Queens County, Queens County, New York. So, I did the best that I could today. I got up at 6 o'clock in the morning, my time. I showered, I shaved. I went out to the courthouse. Hello, Kathy. Good to see you. Good evening, Kathy. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you being in here. Kathy, Sicilian Kathy. Always great to see you. So, it is what it is, guys. It is what it is. Hello from Australia. Love your work. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for coming in, Sandra. I appreciate you. Guys, let me know where you're watching, city and state, if you're brand new. If you're a new subscriber or if you're just stumbling across the channel, let me know what country you're watching from so we could give you a shout out and say thank you because I appreciate your time. Our time is valuable, but I appreciate your time and I thank you for coming in and hanging out with me. I want to definitely give thanks and praise to all of you guys for coming in. Good to see you, PK. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the love and respect on the channel. Greatly appreciated that. Thank you so much. If he stared at me, I was the mother, there you go. They'd have to have a cop assigned to you. Hello from Oregon. Good to see you, Shannon. Thank you so much, Feisty Taco. I love that screen name. Hello, Ontario, Canada. Thank you. God bless you too. God bless. Thank you. Thank you, Sassy. Thank you. There you go, Kelly. Bingo and Yahtzee. Hello, I'm a new sub from New York City. Welcome in, beautiful butterfly. Pleasure to have you. Fayetteville, Arkansas. Awesome, Jennifer. Love the great people in Arkansas. Jurors are regular people and some do not have common sense. Correct. It's just regular people. They're not machines. Thank you, Winky, for putting up all the stuff. Welcome in, Esther from Queens, New York. You're my neighbor, and it's good to have you. Thank you for joining. Anybody else? Anybody else new that has just stumbled across the channel? Welcome to all the newbies. Ron is the best, says Michelle. No, Michelle, you, my friend, are the best. Honey Badger, you're not new, but I know you're from Michigan, and thank you for putting that out there. I told Joe earlier he would need you to shackle me. Yes, I would. I'd have to hog-tie you. You'd have to be hog-tied, Kathy. He's been in custody since February 2017. So he's been in jail over 2 years already. The pizza capital of the world, Brooklyn. There you go, Joey. There you go. I knew that was the pizza capital of the world. Brooklyn. Good old BKLYN. Melissa, thanks for checking in from Orlando. Born and raised in Kings County. Cookie Hill, much love and respect for you. Thank you, Cookie Hill. Thank you. Sherry, thank you for being a new subscriber. It's always great to have you. My name is Duty Ron. I am a retired New York City police detective. And today, if you're just joining, I went straight to Queens Supreme Court and listened to the opening statement of this trial. And now I just broke it down for you guys. Good to see you, Debbie Mack. Debbie Mack is in the building. He is in Rikers Island, world famous GMDC. The George Matheson Correctional Center, GMDC. Yes, Sherry Darnell, welcome into the broadcast. You're welcome, Melissa. You're welcome. So he is in Rikers. He was in Riverhead Jail prior to this, and they transferred him to Rikers. Hello, TT. Good to see you, TT. Love and respect to you. There you go, Curious George. There's a ton of people in jail. There's a ton of people. Does New York have the death penalty? Unfortunately, Kat, we do not. We do not. Does he have a woman to write to him like Chris Watts? I don't know, and I don't care. I don't know, and I don't care. You'd be surprised. All of these criminals, they get women for some reason. Women are fascinated by these. Not all, don't get me wrong. Not all, but some do. They get fascinated with it. Cookie Hill, thank you for that $10. I know I already thanked you. We're at 52 on the Super Chat. Almost at parking ticket ready to pay. We're almost ready to pay it. I think I'll get online and pay it later on. So thank you to each and every one of you for the Super Chat. Greatly, greatly appreciated. Very, very much appreciated. Does anybody have any comments? Yes, Whitney. We're almost there, Whitney. Ron, can you come to New Zealand when they try that terrorist in Church Christ? I'd love for you to stare that murderer down. I'd love to get my hands and put them around his throat, I'll be honest with you, and choke the life out of him. That scumbag. Ugh, I can't stand it. I can't stand these people. How old is this guy? He's 22 now. He was 20 at the time of the committed of crime. Anybody that has any questions, let me know. Let me know. Can't believe you got a parking ticket. I did, Michelle. I did. Kevin Flynn, Master CP, just going to go live. We got our call with Twitter tomorrow. Check out the scope if you get a chance. Josh, I will be on it right after this. I promise. I will be on that. Parking boot? No parking boot. They didn't give a parking boot. It was a parking agent. It was an agent. I left my credentials on the dashboard with a note. I left a note and they still gave me a ticket. If the trial was hung jury, why is he in Rikers Island for? He's still charged with the crime. That's a very good question. Hold on a second. Let me see who asked that. Honey Badger asks, hold on. Honey Badger asks, if the trial was hung jury, why is he in Rikers Island for? He's still charged with the crime. They just were unable to give a guilty or not guilty verdict. So if this goes hung jury 5 times, he's still going to be in jail. Until there's either a not guilty or guilty, he will stay incarcerated because he's still charged with the crime. He's not proven innocent. He's not proven guilty. That's why he's still in jail, Honey Badger. That's why he's still in jail. And I know that a lot of people don't know this, but I'm just giving it to you straightforward. That's the answer. Joey, we talked about this earlier. It could come to a point where they have a special hearing about it. I haven't heard of people been mistrial or hung jury more than 3, 4. I think 4 was the max that I read about. So I don't think that will be in this case. Let's not even talk about that. But there is a process for it if it goes too many times. If there's like 5, 6, they won't let you have 10 hung juries. So we'll see what happens. Hello, iCore Photos. Thank you for coming in. Good to see you. I'm just going to call you Photo Guy. It's easier for me because I don't know how to pronounce that name. I know it's probably easy, but I'm just going to call you Photo Guy. Yes, thank you so much for the super chat and all the donations to my, some people send directly to my PayPal, and that's greatly appreciated. And a lot of people sign up from my Patreon. So thank you to that. Rosemary sad part, what? Hold on. Rosemary sad part was her father always, but his back was sore. Yes, she always jogged with the father. His back was sore that faithful night, and he didn't go out with her, and he advised her not to go. And she said, Daddy, I will be okay. Just like any 30-year-old would say to their father, yeah, don't worry about me. I'm a big girl. I can handle it. And it wasn't to be. She never came home. He's got to live with that for the rest of his life. Horrific, guys, horrific. So, good to see everybody. Anybody have any additional questions? Questions about this case? Not questions about anything else. Anybody have questions about this case? I'll be happy to answer them. Hit me with your best shot. Go ahead, guys. What are the dog days of summer? That's June through August. Please like the video. Ron works hard. Thank you so much, Josh. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Everything's going good. His family was there. Yes, his mother was there. His father was there. So sad. How are you doing? Kelly says to Cecilian. Okay, I'm just looking for questions. How was he apprehended, at his home or work? At his home. At his home, Winky. He was at his home. He was at his home. So they let you record on your phone? No, Honey Badger, no. There's no recording on the phone. That was CBS 2 News, a pool news reporter recorded that. You can't record in a courtroom. There's nothing. I was inside the courtroom, and that is what I heard. Everything that I conveyed to you is what I heard in the courtroom. What is his family thinking? Guilty or innocent? I don't know, Whitney. I didn't talk to his family. I don't know. Sometimes August through October seems the hottest in the Northeast. Over here, it's June till August, September. It's very appreciated, says Curious George, that you take the time to do all of this. Listen, it's good that I'm retired, because if I wasn't retired, I wouldn't be able to do it. My PayPal is in my website. If you go to my website, dutyron.com, my PayPal link is right in the website. So go to dutyron.com and you could click it. There's links in my bio. There's so many different ways you can get in there. People have been putting up a ton of links and things of that nature. Have you ever had a case in front of this judge? I know of this judge, but I never had a case with him, but I've been in that very courtroom with one of my cases many, many a times. So they implement laws against recording even if you're a police officer. They can't make an exception for you. No, nobody, not even the media, cannot record in the courtroom unless it's authorized by the judge. The judge authorized the opening statement from the defense and from the prosecution, and as soon as the opening statement was done, they broke down their cameras and left. It was one camera crew. They shared it with all the networks. Happy Leah says, is his family in the courtroom? What are they like? Do they look like thugs? His family didn't look like thugs. They were dressed well, and they look like African Americans. His family he's African American. Held in contempt. I don't know what you're saying, Linda. I don't know what you're saying about held in contempt. It's an icky feeling to be in presence of evil. Thank you for taking one for the team. Sheila, I've been putting evil and fighting crime for over 20 years. It didn't take much. I was not intimidated one bit by this scumbag. So, yes, Kelly, I would do that for anybody. I help random people on the internet. I'm definitely going to help a crime victim, no problem. Are there people assigned to watch the jury? Yes, there's a court officer assigned to watch the jury, the defense, and the prosecutors. Ron, your content is great. I saw it. They have very good information. Thank you, photo guy. That's your new nickname. Hello, Meg. Good to see you, Megan. How are you? Good evening. Great to see you. Mary London, great to see you. Thank you for joining. Can anything be done if a juror is sleeping? I've heard judges reprimand jurors for sleeping. It's up to the judge. So he didn't see it. I saw it, but he didn't. Yeah, I don't think, Linda, anybody was judging. She was just asking a question. She was just judging. She wasn't judging. She was just asking a question. You know, some people do come to court dressed inappropriately, but they came dressed appropriately. There was no question about it. They were dressed very well. Yeah, don't worry about it. Please don't get involved in that back and forth because that wasn't the case. I didn't see it like that. Ron, I meant that had you recorded in courts, would you have been held in? I wouldn't be held in contempt, but I would be escorted out of the court and kicked out of the building. You might even be charged with a crime. I don't think that there's any crime on the books with that. It's a violation of court rules. And if the judge says that you can't do it, you'll just be escorted out and you'll never be welcomed back into the court. So I don't think you could be arrested for it. You know? So no contempt because I'm not part of the case. I'm just an audience viewer. I love that you do this. I was telling my blue fam about you. Made my dad smile. He's also retired from the job. Much respect from another brother in blue. Thank you, T.I. T.I., thank you. I'm trying to educate I'm trying to get out a lot of information and educate regular people, you know, civilians that don't know both sides of how things run. You know, not a lot of people know how the courts work and know how the police operate. So I'm trying to toe the fine line and giving you guys good, solid information, very correct, accurate information. I'm not giving you some fluff nonsense. I'm not telling you about some sensational theory. I'm going to give you the facts on what the crime is, what is the evidence, and what is going on. If you want to ask me about a case that's open where there's no perpetrator apprehended, I could give you assumptions all day long or possibilities. But those possibilities I'm going to give you are just going to be that. It's just going to be speculation. And I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that. But I don't like to engage in that type of stuff because that creates all different kinds of rumors and arguments and people disagreeing. So I try to stay close to very, very close to the case, and I look at what evidence is there. I would never be here if I ever got the feeling you were sensationalizing. Seriously respect you so much. I appreciate that coming from a former law enforcement professional. You know, just as I do, that this is, you know, it's black and white. You just got evidence, you got a prosecutor that has to present the evidence, and you got to prove your case. And that's all it is. Any guess on the length of this trial? I said about 30 days. About 30 days, guys, or less. 30 days or less. So, Duty Ryan reporting in for duty. Good to see you, Duty Ryan. How are you, bud? How's the coffee mug? Are you enjoying your coffee mug, your Duty Ryan coffee mug? I hope you are. I hope you got it. I hope you got it. Excellent. Excellent. You got to post a picture. Ryan, I got a ticket today at court. I went down to court and got a ticket. Can you imagine? They gave Duty Ron a ticket. These bastards. Ticket. Bullcrap. Yeah, it's about 30 days. There's a lot of evidence. They have a lot of evidence. There's big, you know, they got easels where they're putting big, you know, pictures, crime scene photos. You got the medical examiner, you got the forensics team, you got the DNA experts, You got homicide detectives that still have to be called. There's a ton of witnesses for the state, for the prosecution, to call up, and then they got to be cross-examined by the defense. 95 bucks, 95. 95 bucks. No parking except authorized vehicles. 95 bucks. Bastards. Sons of... Anyways, all right, guys. So I think we got enough information out. I think I covered everything. I got a ticket. I went to court. I covered the case. I think I gave you everything. Good to see you, Sonia. You're late to the party. I know you're a late night owl. I love to see everyone's posts on social. Anybody that follows me on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, you know, on any of the social, if you follow me, chances are I'll follow you back as long as you have an account that you post stuff to. Like if it's a brand new account that has nothing and no content to it, I probably won't follow you back. Not because I don't want to. It's just that what am I following you for if you're not posting anything? So I subscribe to a lot of people who follow me on different socials. If you subscribe to me and I do a little checking on your stuff, I will more than likely subscribe back to you. So, but that's the story. 52 bucks in Super Chat. Awesome, guys. I greatly, greatly appreciate that. Never necessary, always appreciated. And I just want to tell you, I'm going to follow this case very closely. I'm going to be watching the media. I have my inside connection at the court. I have a sergeant who's a good friend of mine and a lieutenant. So I can call them daily to get an update on the inside of what's going on with this case. And I live 15 minutes away, so I could just take a ride over there. Even if it's for the afternoon, I could take a ride. Mahid, good to see you, Mahid. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. I am on my way out the door. We need a free duty run from this ticket. No, it's okay, Kelly. Don't worry about it. It's okay. Michelle Vogel, so nice to see you. It's always a pleasure to have you. One of my great friends. Sonia, always a pleasure to see you. Kelly, Meg Lowe, Winky Whispers, Mary London from over on the other side of the pond. I got a bunch of love and respect for all you guys. You guys are awesome. I appreciate your positive interaction. The respect that you show me is the respect that I give you back. My channel is about peace, positivity, and giving the proper information out. So, hey, Pooh Bear, much love and respect back to you. Guys, that's what I'm all about. I'm about respect and honor. And if you're able to do that amongst yourselves, like I don't even tolerate other people attacking each other. I don't like that stuff and I don't condone it. So if you want to come in here and hang out, most of you guys know the deal. Be respectful to each other. We can agree to disagree. We don't have to attack if we don't agree with what someone says, as long as it's not really vicious and malicious. If that's the case, I have moderators who will take care of it. We don't like to give any attention to anybody that's not acting like an adult. If we have a jagaloon, now a jagaloon, if you want to look that up, is an adult that acts like a child. If we have a jagaloon here, Winky Whispers, Joey67, the people with these blue wrenches will take care of it. And they're not fast to do that because I've given them pretty explicit instructions on what to take care of and what not to take care of. So they're really good at that. So guys, love and respect to each and every one of you. I will speak to you all soon. Mahid, Alfro, thank you so much from Saudi Arabia. Love and respect to your country and all my Muslim brothers over there. I appreciate you coming in. Rosemary, thank you for being in here. Whitney, Sheila, appreciate you guys all. I gotta go because I had a long day, man. I gotta get some sleep. I got up at 6 a.m. That's way too early for me. You're welcome, Happalea. Thank you so much. And to each and every one of you who sent the super chat, again, love and respect to you. Denise Perez, hi and goodbye. Hi and goodbye. So I'll talk to you guys soon. If you haven't seen the whole broadcast, watch the replay. The replay will be up. Give it a thumbs up, share it out onto your social, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace from Duty Ron. Do I end it or do I stay?